Joining us now, Sabrina Schaeffer with the Independent Women's Forum. She serves as their executive director. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So Paul Ryan gets announced last Saturday, a response from various women's groups coming from that, and you kind of boil all those together in a piece that you did for Forbes saying that pitting Paul Ryan against women is a counterproductive sideshow. Can you expand on why you did that?
Well, I think that this is the next battle in the war on women, or the so-called war on women. I think it's very difficult to say that women, with 52% of the electorate, let's remember, are unanimously, in support or opposed to anything. And I think the idea that we are trying to pit the genders against one another and suggest that Paul Ryan is somehow antagonistic to women is something that we should all be looking down upon.
So you talk about specific topics. Just to list off a couple of them, when it comes to areas, when it comes to workplace issues, one of the things that get brought up is the vote on the Lilly Ledbetter Act.
Right, and the Paycheck Fairness Act. These are laws that I think are bad for women, they're bad for men. I think someone like Paul Ryan recognizes that they are a boon for trial lawyers, but they are in fact a job killer. We can talk about them more in detail, but these are things that are not actually, they may be presented as protective legislation for women, but ultimately they make the workplace less flexible, they make it more difficult to remunerate based on work product and work productivity. So these are things that I just don't see as beneficial to women. I actually know from our own research that women don't favor government intervention in these areas.
So it's not a women's issue per se, is that the argument then, or?
Yeah, it's not, and I think that this is what's so important about the war on women rhetoric, is that we're pitting the genders against one another as if we live in a vacuum. But I have a husband, I have a son, I have a father, I have a brother, and vice versa. And so what's good for me is what's good for men as well. And we don't want women to succeed at the expense of men or vice versa. We want job creation and economic growth for everybody. We want health care premiums to come down for everyone. We want energy costs to come down for everyone. Because what's good for women is what's good for men, and we also care about the same issues.
A specific issue, one of them that comes up is the HHS mandate, especially when it comes to contraception.
Right. Well, I think that unfortunately this is an issue that is being used by this administration to try to secure that single woman vote. I think it's offensive. I think that a lot of women see a woman like Sandra Fluke being, brought out to the podium to talk about birth control, and they're thinking, gosh, I just went to the grocery store and I know that my gallon of milk cost me close to $6. I think that that's what women are caring about, and the idea that we're concerned about the government supporting free birth control for women is insulting. I think it is a distraction from the real conversation, which is that these economic policies over the last 3.5 years have been a failure. We have over 8.3% unemployment. These are the issues that women recognize are important, just as men do. And the polling is showing that birth control is seen as an extremely important issue by only 20% of the population. This is clearly an effort to secure that young single voter who doesn't actually turn out with the kind of enthusiasm that I think the White House needs them to.
Were these kind of issues and specifically criticism directed towards Governor Romney, and if so, why is Paul Ryan the new focus of the attack?
I think it's always, look, there's fresh blood to go after, but Paul Ryan is seen as a true fiscal conservative. I think that when Governor Romney selected him, it was a nod to a lot of those conservative voters out there who want to see him standing up for free market policy prescriptions. And when he selected Paul Ryan, that was extremely helpful to him among his base. But it made it, it was sort of new blood for the left to say, look how bad he is. He's going to be one of those conservatives who hates women.
Our guest with us until 8:15, if you want to, or 8:30, if you want to talk to her about these issues, particularly when it comes to Republicans and women voters. We're doing something different today. We are asking only women to call in and talk with our guests. And if you want to do so, we've divided the lines directly. It's for Republican women, 202-737-0002. For Democratic women, 202-737-0001. For those who identify themselves as independents, 202-628-0205. Again, women only as far as the phone calls are concerned, and we will take those calls shortly. I wanted to show you the latest ad from the Obama campaign, which directly targets concerns about women, or at least women's issues. It's titled Important. Here it is, and we'll get your response to it.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
I think Mitt Romney's really out of touch with the average woman's health issues.
This is not the 1950s. Contraception is so important to women. It's about a woman being able to make decisions.
I don't remember anyone as extreme as Romney.
Cut off funding to Planned Parenthood.
I don't think Mitt Romney can even understand the mindset of someone who has to go to Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood, we're going to get rid of that.
I think Romney would definitely drag us back.
So terms like drag us back, talked about making decisions, Planned Parenthood was brought up, a lot of the issues concerning women. What do you get from that message?
I'm surprised, actually, when I see these kinds of ads, because I think that if you look at the polling, the Kaiser Family Foundation, for instance, did some great work where they found that women care about the same issues that men care about, and that's the economy and job creation, overwhelmingly. They do care about health care, but they care about health care in a general sense. So 39% see health care costs as an extremely important issue. But as I mentioned earlier, only 20% see birth control as an extremely important issue. I don't think people believe that it's actually something that's at risk. I don't think people believe that this is something that the government needs to be providing. And too often, I think women's groups and groups on the left are concerned with negotiating these specific advantages like free birth control for women without any consideration of the cost to our freedom or to the economy.
So if it's about the economy, then talk about the selection of Paul Ryan purely on an economic basis, particularly concerns from some about Medicare.
Right. I think that this is extremely important. Both sides recognize that we cannot continue to move forward with Medicare as is. It is not sustainable. So the idea that we need to make cuts is something that I think both Democrats and Republicans agree on. Also, when we're talking about the Ryan plan, this is the third iteration of the Ryan plan. So there has been a lot of back and forth that is not covered in the media. I think that there are options in there, and he's injecting some competition into the program to allow for us to better accommodate those people, those seniors who really do need government assistance, but not to be subsidizing it for everybody when there are individuals out there who can pay, higher premiums on their own.
Do you necessarily think that Governor Romney will adopt those principles?
I think that he will be more comfortable with someone like Paul Ryan there, but I am not an advocate for the Romney campaign. I don't know what's going on, necessarily behind the closed doors. And then, of course, we have Congress to consider. So this is not, just the Paul Ryan show.
Again, this is for women only as far as calling in and talking with our guest.